Hey, thank you for coming by, Tori Magoo 44. Today is the 27th of March. It's almost the end of March. Easter's almost around. For anybody who celebrates Easter, I do. I have all my life more just for fun, like this guy. This is definitely an Easter guy. Where's Mr. Anonymous? Okay, fair enough. Mr. Anonymous has been around. He's been very, very busy, but here he is. Mr. Anonymous, always around, ever present, constant alertness, constant willingness to fight back. True? Right, exactly. Mr. Anonymous is ever present, just so you know. All right, so there you go. A little Easter guy. I've got a lot of fun things around my house. As you guys know, I've told you many times. Thank you for coming by my site. All right, so I'm continuing with the trap regarding Scientology. So Scientology is like a trap. It's got to have good cheese in there for people to come in and stay in, right? First of all, it's got to have cheese to get them to come in, and then you've got to have cheese to get them to stay in the trap. And they've got to be in the trap long enough until the trap door shuts. And now they're in the trap, right? And they're trapped, but they're happily in the trap. That's the biggest, trickiest thing about Scientology and mind control in general, is that by the time you're trapped in it, you're part of the trap. And it's like, hey, now you're getting other people to come on in. And it's like, wait a minute, you're trapped. You can't talk to people. They stop free speech. They stop free thought. Yet they're pitching all the time. Think for yourself. Well, if you can honestly think for yourself, come out and hear the people who've spent years and years running the Church of Scientology and have left. People like myself who were in for 30 years, true believer, got all the way up to OT7, my husband OT8, complete disaster. Most of the people that were at the top of the bridge for many different reasons, but they do. One of the key things, the higher up you get, it's like a triangle, and the higher up you get, the less freedoms you have. So what's this part of the cheese? This has to do with study tech. It's a really basic thing way at the bottom of the triangle. Everybody, when you get in, you learn about study tech. You've probably heard it from Tom Cruise. Scientology helped save his life because of study tech, as he says. Did it really? It probably helped him. And I'll tell you why. Scientology teaches their courses on a check sheet form, meaning everything you have to learn for that course is listed out. It has a little space next to it when you can check it off, when you're done with it. You have to twin with someone else and get through your check sheet, right? You don't have to twin with all of them. A lot of things you can read by yourself, and then there's a checkout with your twin kind of thing. And a twin is somebody else that's going through the course with you and checking things out. Now, there's always a supervisor, one or two in every course room. Now, they're watching for these study tech things that might be out. The three key ones is yawning and misunderstood, which they say is from misunderstood words. It's kind of it's misunderstood words, lack of mass, or skip gradient. Those are the three basic things. And this is the good, bad, and the ugly of study tech. The good of it is those are, looking up words is a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that. Of course, it's a good thing. The bad part of that is that Scientology stretches it to an unbelievable extent, where literally you're always, whatever it is, if you want to leave, if you disagree, if you're not happy, it's because you have a misunderstood word or symbol. And now let's look up the word. Let's clear the word. You have to clear the root words of the words. And often in the definitions are more words that you don't understand. So now you've got to clear those words and those definitions and their derivations. And it's like, it just goes on forever. So it moves from just clearing a word, looking it up, to this, endless thing that isn't helping anybody really, except keeping them. It's kind of like a form of mind control where you have to agree and be happy about what you're studying, or you must have a misunderstood word. And they're going to find it. Believe me, they're going to find it. So that's the good and the bad of it. The good of it is looking up a word. If you don't understand something, look it up. Clear your words, understand what you're reading. If you go by a paragraph and you think, what did I just read? Look back and see if there's some words that you don't understand, because usually there are. And then once you clear the word, you go, oh, now I get the whole paragraph. It all fits together. So there's number one on study tech. Number two is skip gradients. Now, you've all of us have experienced skip gradients. Let's say you're a kid and your mom says, clean the kitchen. Now, let's say you've never cleaned the kitchen before. You're like, doing what? You've seen her kind of sweeping and using different detergents or whatever around the kitchen, but you don't really know how. I mean, it's a total skip gradient. It's like you're going from being a kid who, maybe you've used a broom to now you're supposed to clean the entire kitchen. And it's like, what? Which part of it? I mean, how do I do it? I don't even know where the cleaning things are. It's an overwhelming feeling. And that can be for anything. Get in the car and drive. Get in the car and drive. You've been driving us for, 15 years. Now I'm supposed to drive? I mean, how? What do I do first? So a gradient scale would be teaching the person about a car, how do you start a car, getting into the car, starting the car, that kind of a thing, where you've got the little steps that get you into like, okay, I can drive. I'm driving down the street. All right. Instead of like get in the car, drive on the freeway. It's like, huh? I don't even know how to start a car. I don't know how to drive down the street, let alone get on a freeway. Do you see what I mean? So skip gradients often, make someone unhappy in studying. So they make sure that you keep in the gradients on it. And they can always say, did you go by a gradient that you didn't, something that you didn't fully get? And sometimes people on course will say, yeah, I really didn't understand what, L. Ron Hubbard was talking about on that tape. Okay, well, let's go back to that and find out, did you understand step A? Yes. Step B, yes. But step C, not really. Okay, well, let's get that one in because it sort of jumped from A to F without the ones in between. So let's get those gradients in. So that can be good. The bad of it is it's sort of like, again, they always stretch it usually back to a misunderstood word. So even with the skip gradient, they're always checking for, that you can demonstrate the gradients or learn the gradient in between, but usually they're always going to try to find a misunderstood word. Okay, the third one is lack of mass. Okay, now this is my real demo kit from when I was in Scientology. See, there it is. Oops. It's like little things and you can make it up of what you want. But I would bring this little demo kit to course whenever I went to course. And I kept it because it's just significant of all the insanity that I went through and how many years I spent at the top of the bridge to total freedom, OT7, not being able to ever look at any of the facts that are out there that really tell the true story of Scientology. Wasn't allowed to do that. Wasn't allowed to talk to anybody who'd left the Church of Scientology who might have been able to fill in all the gaps that are like, wait a minute, what's happening? Now, when you're in the beginning stages of it, let me say, it all feels good. It's cheese. Do you see what I mean? It tastes good. It looks good. They're going to help you with your career. They're going to help you in your life. They're going to help you with your life skills. Everything seems great. It's like, why would I want to leave? And people often run into that. It's like, no, I'm happy here. Well, happiness isn't really the issue. You can be happy in Scientology and you can be happy outside of Scientology. The same skills that you learn in Scientology, you can learn outside of Scientology. All of them. The entire bridge to total freedom is outside the church. And it's at a much less price. And certainly you have much less rules and regulations outside of the church than you do. So there's that if you're going to use Scientology. Even if you don't, there's tons of self-improvement books in bookstores, in libraries that are, brilliant pieces of information. Most of it which Hubbard copied, repackaged, and said he wrote it, right? So, go start doing your own research. Don't just listen to Scientology. Of course it feels good. You're in the beginning stages of the trap and the cheese. So it tastes yummy. It's got to taste yummy. It's got to look good. People always say, well, you should come over and see Celebrity Center. Sure, go in, see Celebrity Center. It's beautiful. I'm not going to say it isn't. It's a very, very pretty building. I used to live in that building. I know it. I was on staff at Celebrity Center. But is it really what it is? I mean, the real top celebrities have their own secret entrance. Right before I escaped out of Scientology, the head of OSA showed me their secret course room that they have an entrance in up to their course room, their own supervisors. where they never will even see the public if they don't want to. So, they have a different thing than the regular public. And even the regular public, myself included, I was working for the office, volunteering for the Office of Special Affairs, which is their PR and legal, which they sort of roped me into. But the point being, I did stuff that I just had no clue what it was really about. I really didn't. And the bottom of it is not looking. They'll say it's because you have a misunderstood word. Why would you want to talk to those suppressive people? I mean, they're declared suppressive, they're evil people. Really, look at me. Honestly, I'm evil. I mean, I love Jenna Miscavige said the same thing. That's David Miscavige's niece. I just read it in her book where she said, they kept asking me about these overts and withholds. So it makes you feel like you have these deep overts and withholds and secrets and misunderstood words and all these things. When in truth, she finally realized, no, I don't. That's not true. I might have done some stuff, granted. I might have my own withholds or secrets, but I'm not an evil person. I'm not a bad person. And that was part of my waking up too. It was like on OT7, they're constantly security checking you and grilling you about this and that. Did you steal the OT7 materials? Were you out talking to suppressive people? It's like, no, I was honestly a really good Scientologist. They were the ones who kind of made me into a suppressive person by putting that there over and over and over. After a while, it's like, okay, fine. It's one of those things where, you say it enough and it happens. They are stopping free speech and free thought. Those are their key bottom line worst things. They break up families and they stop freedoms. That's what they do. And you don't believe me? Go read a book. Bring Jenna Miscavige's book in. Read the whole thing. They're not going to, no. They're going to send you to ethics and tell you how bad and evil Jenna is, or how bad and evil I am, or bad and evil Mike and Marty are, or bad and evil, the Headleys are, or how bad and evil Amy was. All of us, everybody, we were all this evil. Those guys helped run the church. They were up at Gold. Find out what happened at Gold. Read Mark Headley's book, Blown for Good. Have some courage. Leap out and learn both sides. Don't just sit in the trap eating the cheese saying, I don't know, it tastes pretty good. I think it's fine for me. Every time they say you have a misunderstood word and you follow that path, you're a little bit deeper into the trap because you're buying into, okay, there's something I don't get. Because that's always what it is. It isn't that everybody doesn't get it. It's you don't get it. You're the only person who doesn't get it. All these other people are getting it great. Look at how happy they are. So you must have something you don't understand or you're withholding from us. And that's what you need to clear up. And once you do, then you're going to be a happy Scientologist. Well, here's the truth. I spent 7 years on OT7 getting sec checked twice a year, a ton of times. And it wasn't until, and OT7 didn't work at all for most of the people that were on it. It was just a gigantic extension of OT3. And more BTs and clusters and more blah, 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 blah. No, it wasn't anything. And also I started looking at how this church that I was part of didn't really care about the people outside. They didn't. I got into Scientology because they were going to clear mankind. I thought, great, that's what I want to do. They're not clearing mankind. They're not clearing anybody. David Miscavige's last session was 1997. Look around you, how much tack is being applied. You may see some people on course, but go look in the ideal orgs. They're pretty much empty, but they're making the public pay for that. Now, that never happened in the old days, but it's because you have misunderstood words. If you don't want to pay for it, then you better go to ethics and do the lower conditions. That's a whole nother thing. But, all of these things are part of the trap that keep you in, keep you eating, keep you staying until you're so much a part of the trap you don't even know it, and then the door shuts. And now you want to kind of leave, but that isn't going to happen because you're part of the trap now. So anyway, that's the study tech, the good, the bad, and the ugly. The truth is, it is part of the trap. It's a big part of the trap. And it isn't true that you have misunderstood words if you disagree. You have every right to disagree. Think of, this was one of my huge wake-up calls that doesn't have to do with study tech, but it's a thing to consider. I started thinking of every great person I knew, every great artist, every great musician, every great philosopher, every great writer, anything. None of them were Scientologists. And yet they did great things and helped mankind tremendously. So if they can do it, why can't you do it without Scientology? Why do you need Scientology? The truth is, you don't. It's a trap. It's a trap with good cheese in the beginning, but I'm telling you, it gets very, very moldy the higher up you go. It still looks like it's good cheese, and they're going to keep pitching you've got misunderstood words or out ethics. But the truth is, all you're saying is you want to go out and experience life, and that's what you should be doing. That is exactly what you should be doing. And it's nothing more than going to the nearest store, walking out, and walking across the street. That's it. You're free. That's all there is to it. They're going to make you feel like it's all these other things, but the truth is, it isn't. Walk across the street, call your family, call your loved ones, get back into life, and live your life the way you want to. I love you guys. I hope you're having a tremendous and very happy week. Peace out. Ciao.